welcome to another Malazan Debrief, or as Alan would say, Malazan Debrief. I want you to feel welcome, Alan, so feel free to say it however you want. Don't be mean to him in the comments. He can say it however he wants. So this is very exciting because this is the first debrief of the final Malazan book, Crippled God. Alan, you finished it, I think, last week, right?
Yeah, I finished it, I think, like on the 16th, 15th. It took me fully half the month to read, and so I didn't read much this month other than Crippled God.
Well, and honestly, even like a 15-day reading of this book is real impressive because obviously the page count is high. It's like 1,200.
1,200, it's like 1,198.
It's Erickson at the height of his writing prowess, so it's a slow read in a good way.
Yeah.
But that's an impressive amount. But that means that we are going to be completely spoiler-filled with the whole Malazan Book of the Fallen.
Pretty much.
So we're going to talk about everything. So we're probably not going to get a high view count, but I think those who view it are going to love it because we haven't been able to be this open about it in any of our discussions we've had before. So, Alan, I'm gonna ask a big question, and then we can jump into specifics.
Let's do it.
Did I say Alan from the Library of Allenxandria? I think everyone I feel like our followers are kind of a circle with a little bit of other circle, but most people probably know both of us. But I want to know overall thoughts. Are you satisfied with the ending of the series?
Yeah, actually, I am. I'm quite satisfied. It was actually not the ending that I thought was coming. Mm-hmm. I knew Erickson was going to wrap it up in a way it's just, I'd heard too many good things I didn't think I was going to be disappointed. I didn't think he was going to leave too many threads, but it was far more uplifting. The ending was than I anticipated it being. Like, we can talk spoilers, right?
Yeah. Everything's up. Everything's up.
I'm not going to lie. I thought every one of those schmucks was going to get burned. Like, I thought every one of them was going to die. I didn't think any, because, the whole point is unwitnessed. Like,
and they kind of said that Dust of Dreams is pretty much set up like they're all going to die.
Yeah. And for that many to survive, and for like some of the like really touching moments at the end, like it was much more uplifting than I anticipated it being. Absolutely. Now that doesn't mean that people didn't die. that sucks. But yeah, I was very satisfied with the ending. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I kind of the same way. I remember when I finished Reaper's Gale, which is sort of like that has the great ending with in Letheri. But I remember finishing it and I saw, I'm only 3 books to the end. I'm going to get there. And I kind of felt like, man, this is going to crush me when I get to the end of this series. Like there's going to be some rough stuff. And I was sort of dreading it, but you're right. Like my overwhelming thought at the end of this was like a very nice exhale, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, by the way, I have no order, people out there who are watching. This is basically just me talking with a friend about Crippled God. But I'm curious, how did you feel about the Shake storyline? Because I say kind of vaguely in a lot of my reviews that I did not like the Shake storyline from Reaper's Gale all the way through Dust of Dreams. I was like, this is such a waste of time. Why am I following Yadan and all these things? And then it paid off so huge in this book. At least I thought so. What were your thoughts?
So I'm with you. I didn't like the Shake. I liked Twilight and the Watch. I did like them as characters. I just didn't care. I was like, okay, I don't understand what your purpose is. And then it just seemed like they were just islanders. And then all of a sudden they're they're the freaking descendants of the Tista Andi. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, I don't like the Eater are my favorite of the long-lived races. If we're gonna have one, I much prefer the humans in Malazan than the ancients. And so I was just like, man, whatever. But then the battle at the first shore, come on, that's ridiculous. It was, and then the other Andi finally, Nimander's storyline having any kind of point, they ride to the rescue and just all the freaking finally, what's her name? Solanda, right? That's her name?
Yep.
Finally. So we've waited 10 books for Solanda to do anything. Finally, Solanda does something I didn't realize she was that much bigger than the Soul Taken dragons. Mm-hmm. And just Solanda wrecking wrecking the Leosan dragons was just, I loved that. Like I loved her just tearing, because we're like, oh crap, well I guess they lose. Like I guess the watch lose, or the shake lose. So that was epic. Like the first short thing was epic. It was kind of abrupt because it ends, and at the end of that battle, you don't see them ever again in the whole book. So I thought we were gonna like get a coda somewhere on them, and you just don't. I'm assuming maybe it's in one of the side books. I know we probably get a lot more of them in Carcanis. I don't know, like in the
Carcanis is actually beforehand, as far as I understand. So I don't
just
know
more of that storyline, like the whatever. But I was surprised at how abrupt it ended. I didn't understand. Oh, okay, here we go. So we're going to talk about whole book things. I don't understand the purpose of the Leosan. Like maybe it's other books that they do more, but for up until Dust of Dreams, the Leosan for me were like comic relief. There's that group of like 5 of them that keep running afoul of like Karsa or Trull or whoever, and
House of Dreams, right? Or House of Chains is where that happens a lot. Yeah.
And like in every book they're in, they run into someone and get clobbered. Like, and I'm just like, what is the purpose of these guys? And so I didn't really understand why the Leosan are, so intent on invading. I think someone told me that is explained more in Carcanis. But it was cool. Like, it was really cool. I just didn't really understand the Leosan, their point in the lore.
I think I'm kind of there with you. Like I think like it's obvious they're ancient enemies of the Andu, right? Like they're the yin and the yang kind of the elder races. But the only thing we know about them is like they're super stuck up and like they want to kill the Tistandi, and that's like it. That's like what we know about them. And basically there was just like they were super awesome with that fight on the first shore.
Oh, so cool.
And it was interesting. I forget the guy's name, but you're like in the head of one of the other commanders, not like the main prince guy, but like the guy underneath him. Yeah. And it's always interesting how like similar. I think Erickson does this on purpose, like shows the thought processes on both sides, and that they're both really the same. Because this guy's like, "Why are we doing this?" And on the other side, what's her name? Jan is like, "Why are we doing this?" And so it was a cool mirrors, but they didn't have like a huge overarching. Actually, my favorite part of the Leosan storyline is the small Calor story we get. I think, is that Crippled God or is that Dust of Dreams?
It's not. Calor's not in Crippled God.
Because there is a flashback where Calor was once like married to the queen of the Teast Leosan, or was like a lover.
That's is that Dust of Dreams or is that Toll the Hounds? Because that's
Calor is Toll the Hounds a lot.
Yeah.
But speaking of Calor and Toll the Hounds, just bringing up that I tricked you with that in our.
You totally did. I was like, I should have when he calls Skin Tick stupid. Like when he calls him an idiot, that should have tipped me off. He's the only one of those people that would have of the choices that would have insulted the person.
Oh, we're talking about Alan did a challenge where he had to get like characters from quotes, and I submitted one from Toll the Hounds very meanly, to be quite honest.
It was a Calor quote, and I missed it. Dang it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Teast Leosan. Okay, so let's talk about the huge turn, because I was taught we were messaging back and forth as you're reading this book. And even in the middle of this book, like me, you're thinking, okay, so how do they defeat the Crippled God? How does this come into it? And then, of course, the twist at the end is that, like, basically that they are fighting for the Crippled God or against him by being for him, however you want to say it. I thought it's just beautiful and brilliant. But I want your thoughts on that turn.
Yeah, so it was so I've talked with a bunch of people in Discord about this, people who just have read the series more than me, and I have to, because there are just some things I didn't get. Because for the whole series, it seems like, okay, in book 1, it's the Empress, and in book 2, it's it's the Seven Cities Rebellion, and then all of a sudden in book 3, that's when we start hearing about the Crippled God. And he just seems like the primary antagonist. Like, he is actively working against our protags. with the Panian Seer, and then and of course Rulad's sword. Like he is actively like hostile to the people in our book, and then all of a sudden, in book like 8 or Dust of Dreams, maybe all of a sudden she's like, we're gonna free the crippled god, and it's just like, what? Like, why? And they're talking about like, well, we have compassion for it. Why? Like, did you not see Bone Hunters where he has a cult where like killing everybody? And in Toll the Hounds, that crazy like crippled cult that kills the foster parents of Harlow or whatever. And I'm just like, why? Like, why is this guy all of a sudden a good guy? And from what I've gathered, from what other people have said, is that and this is cool. It is cool that they free him. He's not a good guy. He's still a bad guy. And when that clicked, I'm like, oh, okay. But by freeing him, we stopped the gods from taking advantage, like Shadow Throne. Because I had to have Shadow Throne. I'm like, what is Shadow Throne and Cotillions like? What was their end game in this? Like, what was their hand in kind of maneuvering this? And that's why they've ticked everybody off, is they have stopped the gods, like all these douchebags' power source by freeing the crippled god, or Kemensad. Is that his name? Kemensad? Because that's what the Forkful of Sail wanted to do, is drain the crippled god of power. And so he's not. So what I like is that the crippled god is really much more Lovecraftian. And there's a thing in Lovecraft mythos, a lot of people don't like when Derleth took over, his successor, because Derleth added more like outer ones, and it became a much more good versus evil thing, where Lovecraft was much more like Cthulhu and Astaroth. They're not evil, they're just beyond our understanding. And that's really kind of the way I see the crippled god. It's like, I mean, he's still a bad guy, but he's just really more like, he's just an alien. He's an alien being. He's beyond our understanding. And so I just thought that was really cool. I thought it was really cool. And in Crippled God, I actually made a connection with something that bothered me with earlier Malazan books about the way Erikson kind of writes certain things. And once I made this comparison, I was totally okay. And I'm talking about like a lot of is it okay if I shift gears for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
So
this is your debrief, man.
Sorry. There's a lot of, like these giant reveals and these moments where people say things that are really weighty and people stagger back. Like there's a lot of like, he staggered back at the words he was told. And I'm just like, did we really like earn that, like that big reveal? Like I don't understand what they're talking about, but Erikson, and looking back over the series, it has to be intentional because it's very Greek tragic in the way he writes. Erikson is a combination of Aeschylus and Euripides, because there is a play by Aristophanes called Frogs, where Dionysus goes into the underworld to try to get a tragedian back from the dead, because he says Athens writers, they suck. And at the end, the back half of this play is literally an epic rap battle between the two great tragedians, Euripides and Aeschylus. And one of the things they argue about is Aeschylus wrote these huge, like his characters were gods and larger than life. And they're these big, like epic, like, because people cry all the time. People cry so much in this book, and they cry all the time. They're just like, they like get some realization and just tears appear. And I'm like, and it's not the way standard books do, where there's just kind of like this buildup and of emotion, but it's just like this big emotion that falls on them all at once. And I'm like, that's so very like Greek tragedy of the book. And that's what Aeschylus did. He wrote these big, larger than life, like demigods, like gods, heroes. That's what he wrote about. And their huge, larger than life reaction. That's what the Iliad is. And that's what the Greeks identified with. But Euripides, and he was new tragedy. He focused on people that were much more normal people, like the soldier, or people with like deformities, cripples, or people with like, addictions and stuff. And that wasn't done before. And that's what he does so well at the ground level with the soldiers and the Malazans. And when that clicked for me, and maybe he didn't intend to do that, but I'm just like, I'm reading like, it's like a Greek tragedy. And so I was way more okay. I wasn't like, why is this guy crying again? I'm like, there you go, dude, I'm with you. I'd cry too. And I don't know why that came to me in the Crippled God, but I liked it a lot. So I don't know if that makes sense.
That was the nerdiest but best rant on Malazan and Greek tragic playwrights I have heard, and it's fantastic.
It was just really cool.
Yeah,
it's very similar. Like there's a lot of similarities with Greek tragedy up in here.
Yeah, and it's a heightened reality in all senses, not just with the fantasy elements, but even with the personalities, and as you said, the emotion and all of this stuff. And I think he's pretty consistent on it. So yeah, I think
that's when I was describing it to Leanna. And I was talking about I don't know why, everyone posits these great questions from king to pauper. And I'm and Leanna's but is that the construct to where it's kind of that heightened reality to where that's just that it is a world in which even paupers would think that way. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fair. That's consistent.
Yeah.
So I withdraw that particular complaint because that is consistent. So, that doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah,
so
that actually reminded me of one of my favorite dialogues is at the end of this book, to bring it back to Crippled God, is Karsa's very existential but awesome, I think, moment to his character where he just cradles the dying beggar in Darujistan. And it's literally just a beggar who's been poor all of his life, but they have this very deep conversation about life and living and fear of death. And Karsa shows the ultimate character growth where we met him and he's literally slaughtering and raping and pillaging. And now he takes a moment from his hugest destiny moment to date that's been built up. And he just sits with a random beggar who's dying to comfort him. And his that's beautiful, but also that's an example of what you're saying. There's this beautiful dialogue with just a barbarian and a cripple at the end of it.
And look, I'm glad you segued into Karsa because Karsa has the best arc in the series. The arc of Karsa Orlong is just so incredible. When I first read House of Chains, I freaking hated Karsa. Yeah. On my third read, I love Karsa. By the time I read it the third time, I'd already read Reaper's Gale, so I'm I love Karsa. Mm-hmm. I honestly was disappointed that Karsa was not there at the end because he's such a major character. I'm where the freak is Karsa? Yep. I understand why he wasn't. I do get that. And I know we've got the Witness trilogy coming out, which that's exciting. Yeah. It's freaking Karsa.
By the way, just prepare yourself. He said in interviews that the whole first book has no Karsa in it. Just prepare yourself. Because it's the story of Karsa. He says the story of Karsa, but to get to Karsa, he had to back up. And so I guess the way he's described it, vaguely as authors do, is and this is very Ericksonian, but what did he put that? The wake of the wave that is Karsa. I think that was the metaphor he used. So I think he's going to spend some time with his daughters, which we met in Toll the Hounds. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know, but I'm assuming they'll do that and a lot of other
Just put Karsa in the book for me. Please just write Karsa. I love Karsa. I'm so upset he wasn't in the big epic conclusion. I mean, I understand why. But the Karsa with the beggar. And correct me something also, because when he was talking to the beggar or the cripple or the leper or whatever, I thought that the cripple was what member of the House of Chains. And was it really the bridge burners who ended up being the House of Chains cards or whatever? I got very confused at the end.
No, so I didn't catch this on reread. This is with discussions with other people. So he is actually, if you remember back to I think it might even be Memories of Ice, where Picker first gets the bracer that is on her. The merchant who sells that to her and then has the conversation with the crippled god, that's the beggar at the end who's dying.
Yeah, what's his name? Mungo?
Mungo, yeah, something like that. But he's the merchant of the House of Chains or something like that. He has a low rank. And so that's him dying. I think that's my understanding. And the bridge burners, I think, are just their own sort of they are just ascendants, a group ascendant.
I meant the bone hunters.
I'm not an expert.
I meant the bone hunters. They were just talking about something when they were having a conversation with Tavor about we're the, I don't know. I may be confused. Just because they were helping the crippled god there. They were serving him at the end. I don't know. But anyway, I got there from Karsa. But that scene was awesome with him and Mung or whatever. Munug. That
sounds right. Yep. Yeah. Good pull. Okay, let's talk about one of the coolest finales ever, because
So
there's a 3-pronged amazing battle with the Crippled God. Like,
200 pages.
they have to get the heart. So there's the place at the spire with Stormy Gessler and the Change Mall and just all and Scene and all that kind of shit. And then there is the main battle forces of the Letheri and a couple other, I think, people in that battle with Briss.
The battle at the Barrow.
Then there is the thing on top of the little hill with just like the Fiddler and Hedge and those people. So lots to talk about there. Go where you want to go with that.
So good. First of all, like Erickson, he doesn't strike me as someone who watches a lot of anime, but like he does play D&D though. When I read his stuff, I'm like, man, this is anime. There's frozen blood tornadoes. What? I have never read another fantasy book where there's frozen blood tornadoes. I stopped. I was doing a reading sprint when I read that. I'm like, guys, I just read frozen blood tornadoes. That battle at the Spire was just so freaking awesome. Stormy, like, there's a lot of death, and a lot of it happened very quickly. And I do like, one of the things I do like that Erickson, I like and hate that he kills off like big characters like in a sentence, right? Like the fact that Kilimanjaros and Knuckles are killed in like one pair. I've been following them for 3 books. Yeah. And then in one section, Draconis appears, done, dead.
I appreciated it because Draconis was like built up so long, and I was like this is gonna let me down. And then he just like killed those 2. I was like, okay, yeah, Elder Gods are the shit.
I want to put a pin in Draconis. I want to turn to him in a second.
Okay, go for it.
But yeah, so that battle at the Spire was freaking awesome. With the Kachane Shamal being like just the army of the dinosaurs. And I really liked the Forquil Assail. I thought they were really neat. I thought their Warren, the voice, like being able to kneel. Like I loved every time they're like kneel. The stuff with the parish got a little confusing. I remember I talked to you, asked you like why do they betray the Bone Hunters and then turn around and like all 3 of them, like all 3 of the leaders, like kill themselves, like get killed. And but that was just so awesome. And then the assault on the Spire, where with Stormy and Gessler and Sin was the first. I had to stop after that and take a breath because it was just so amazing, because you can see them running up Sin's heading up the stair. You can see them grab her leg, throw her off, and then run up, and she follows them back up, and then Stormy's gotta like bear hug her and fall off the edge while he's being burned alive, like just killing her. I don't know why she went insane. Was it just Telon, was it just her Warren that made her crazy? I don't really know why. But it was
just a quick, like, I think it's similar to, and sort of a good bookend to what's his face with the Chaos Warren.
Hairlock
in the first book.
Hairlock,
yes, yeah. Because like the Chaos Warren is obviously worse, and so it drives him insane. But I think the same idea is like she had so much power in her that it burned away her humanity, and then she just went crazy. That was my understanding.
Yeah, so him falling off the edge with her, and like Stormy's been there since book 2. So Stormy and Gessler's death they hit me pretty hard because they've been there since Deadhouse Gates. Yep. And then Gessler dying for Bent, like chain of dogs, man. Like good for you. Like freaking Sister. Which one is that? Sister Reverence? I think it's Sister Reverence. Sister Reverence, like breaking Gessler's neck, like because he refuses to let her kill Bent. That was awesome. That was good stuff. That was really good stuff.
It's like a combination of like that boots on the ground thing and heightened drama. It's just like he's dying for a dog, which is like a very simple like love that we can all understand. And then it's of course this massive world, blah blah.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking with that scene, my wife I tried to get her to read Malazan. She read Gardens of the Moon, was not a fan. Unsurprisingly, she's not a big fantasy person. And I forced her to read it because I loved it so much. Anyway, but I came and I was like, you're probably not going to get here. So I just have to tell you what I'm reading right now. And like, that's the kind of stuff where I wish I could tell people who aren't Malazan readers what it is. And it's like, okay, so right now there's a battle between like hundreds of thousands of people who are controlled by a voice of this alien-like long-lived thing. It has two, whatevers. And then they're fighting against dinosaurs who have sword straps on them, but they're intelligent. So it is actually sad that they're dying. And then, the sea is being frozen by the god of death incarnate who has come to like have revenge on this thing. And there's a boar god that's coming into the clouds, but then he's killed by one of our other main characters in another continent. And then his blood rains down and brings life to zombies. there are zombies fighting down there. It's just like, and then tornadoes happen. And then the goddess of the earth is there making crazy shit. There's just it's incredible, the epicness in one scene.
Oh yeah. So addressing a couple of those things. So Hood gets his head cut off in Toll the Hounds.
Yep.
Is he alive because Dragnipur broke and so he escaped? That's the only explanation. Okay, so that's fine. Yep. Hood pulling a Hulk from the Avengers on Sister Reverence, I have had enough of your justice. Get him, Hood. So I was super happy about that. I did not.
Also, side note, when he bites off the face earlier in the book, so awesome.
I did not understand. I thought Fenrir was already in the world, but anyway, he's summoned. Karsa somewhere else kills him by killing his tusk in a citadel, and then Fenrir's blood rains down, and the rain brings people back to life. Why? Why does it do that? I didn't understand why it did that. Do we have any hint that is what's going to happen?
I think it's just like the blood of gods is powerful kind of thing. Because it is like the death of Fenrir, I think. The whole thing is he is in bodily form. And the whole thing about that is he's able to be killed. And so my understanding was that he chose to manifest himself so he could die. That was,
gotcha.
I mean, again, it's Erickson, so we're all making up theories, but that was my understanding.
And then Tool was undead, and then alive, and then dead again, and then alive again. And I'm like, leave Tool and Talk alone.
This was ill-timed. The greatest.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. But I love Tool. I don't really understand how Hatan was revived. I don't really understand it. I am not complaining because I am very, very happy that Tool got to be with his wife, because what happened to Hatan in Dust of Dreams is hands down the worst thing in the whole series. It was the hardest thing to read in the whole series was the hobbling of Hatan in book 9. So I'm very glad that I don't really know why she's alive, but I don't care. I'm happy that Tool is with her. And is Kalava there? I don't understand the refugium stuff. I'm just not going to lie. The Kalava and the refugium and Udnas and all that is beyond my ken. And you know what? I don't need to understand it. I'm fine with it being what it is.
I kind of did the same thing, honestly. I could probably come up with some theory of what it is and why, but at the end of the day, I just kind of read it and accepted it, which I think is a good strategy for Malazan overall for the most part.
I'm totally cool with it. So that battle was awesome. Here's what Erickson does a lot. And I didn't like it in Dust of Dreams, but I love it. I love it every other place. He switches point of view between all the soldiers and in Dust of Dreams, when Draconis awakens, I thought it slowed Dust of Dreams down so much that I had 100 pages of people responding to Draconis awakening. And I'm like, why? I don't need to see everybody feel Draconis coming back. But when he does it here, when he's showing us every single soldier reacting to starving or dying of thirst in the desert. Yeah. I thought it was extremely effective there. By the same token, Erickson writes these really quick flashing POVs in the middle of a melee, really better than almost anyone. I can't really think of anybody who switches POVs in the middle of a melee really quickly better. And it's just so amazing to see, you switch to a POV. Oh, okay, that guy's dead. Switch. Oh, he's dead. Oh crap. Well, they died. And these guys live, and I love that. And the battle at the Barrow was just the best of it. Switching back and forth between those bone hunters there, between the Marines and the heavies, just watching some people that I like die. you know, watching some people live. Like, I always love Hellion. I don't really know why I shouldn't, but I love Hellion. I love that Herb loves Hellion.
Yeah.
And so it was just incredible, the battle at the Barrow. And then freaking Corbolas is showing up.
Oh man, the dragon stuff is nuts.
Like, here's what I've gathered. I have gathered that Corbolas they freed Corbolas so that they freed the Elliant so that they would kill Corbolas so that Corbolas would not free the crippled god, so that the font of power would not be dispersed. That's what I figured out, I guess.
Well, yeah, so because it's Kilomandros and her crew that release Corobas, I believe, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, they release her.
So my thought is, as the elder gods, they want the younger gods to be put in their place and not to gain the power of the crippled god and other gods. So they choose like to unleash this complete destruction because I think the implication is that Corobas could like kill the whole Warren like system.
Because everything flies over guys too.
Yeah, and the elder gods are the only ones that would survive because, of course, the Warrens are like K. Rool's power manifested. So I think that's their thought, is like, to reset this whole order, we need to, destroy this Corobas. And then, of course, that Tiamat would come and like destroy everything else anyway. Because I think she's also an elder god, right? Tiamat is an elder god of Chaos Warren. Again, I'm not as expert as other people, and I'm sure there's someone who's like banging their keyboard as they're listening to us, wanting to say the specifics, but that's my understanding.
Look, it was just really cool. The battle at the Barrow was freaking awesome. And then at the last minute, like Ganos and his crew riding through the Warren, like just spitting out the cavalry or their guys. So freaking good. It was just so good. And then, oh my gosh, here's where I lost it. The single most emotional point of the book for me was Ganos. I lost her.
Yes.
I'm about to tear up right now. Like Tavor, who, if you read the book, Tavor. Like, she is the hardest nosed, like
cold iron.
Oh my gosh. And then in that 1 second, that's the whole reunion.
Yeah.
She collapses into Ganos' arms and says, Ganos, I lost her. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, I was like, I got chills right now. That was amazing. That was so good. It couldn't have been written better, their reunion, because everything that she's been keeping, like this guilt that she feels at her terrible plan concerning Felison. What a terrible plan, Tavor. Yeah. What are you doing? And it's just like, oh man, that was so good. That was really
well, and it's such a human moment, because those two just like saved the world, but then they meet each other and it's still about how they failed like their sister.
They failed their younger sister,
in like this horrible way, obviously, in House of Chains and
and so I think that's confirmation that Tavor doesn't know that Felison was Shaik, right? Like,
I think there's a lot of debate about that. If she knows that she killed her in House of Chains, or if
I'm on the side that
pressing it, or she really not know what happened.
I'm on the side that she didn't know, but so Tavor is awesome. I don't really understand where Tavor gets her information. Like, when Tavor's like, yeah, we're going to go free the crippled god for all of this. Like, how do you even know that, Tavor? Like, where do you get your info?
Well, so here's my question. Two questions I have, and I have not talked about this with anyone yet. So there's one weird moment where I forget who it is, but she's like dressing and they see that she has like a claw.
A talon, yeah.
A talon, yeah. And she says, I'm a child of the emperor.
She says we're all the emperor's children, doesn't she?
We're all the emperor's children. So when I first read that, I actually thought what she meant was the parents are like connected to Calumbed, like biologically. Which I could see that being a thing, but I don't think I think it was metaphorical.
I think what it means to me is that she's a Talon, and therefore, like, the Bone Hunters, like all of them, they are because Kellenved has been pulling the strings behind the scenes. He's orchestrated most of this anyway. That they're still serving the Emperor, and her as a Talon being one of his bodyguard. That's what I interpreted it as.
Yes, and so that's what I first thought, and then my second thought is that like she is like the most blunt instrument of Shadow Throne and Cotillion, which we don't realize, but I think that's like what was Cotillion and Shadow Throne's plan. I think is Tavor's plan is kind of how I connected it all because of that. You're right.
That makes sense. That's where we got our info from Shadow Throne and Cotillion. That makes sense.
Yeah. That's my guess, but it's never confirmed. Like her whole mystery, like we never get into her head, which I think is cool.
It was great. It was just so good. That's the conclusion, right? Anything else cool happened in the conclusion? It was just the epilogues were really good. Like with what was it? Corlick? Is that her name? Corrick? Getting to see. Is that Whiskey Jack's girl?
Oh yeah.
Her getting the fiddler finally playing his freaking fiddle.
Yes, and his conversation with the boy. It's basically exactly what Perrin says in the prologue to Whiskey Jack.
Oh, that was fantastic. After Fiddler having that conversation with the other bone hunters about he told me I shouldn't join, but like you can't change someone's mind. And I love that in the epilogue, you see Fiddler, he hesitates. It says he hesitates after the boy's like, I'm going to be a soldier. Yep. It says he hesitates and he's like, you know what? You go do that. You go do that. That was so good. Fiddler may be, he vies for my favorite character in the series. Fiddler is the everyman. He's our boots on the ground. Like he is just the guy who is caught up in events and is just trying to do right by all of his former companions. He's like the single person carrying on their legacy. Like he is just caught up in something way beyond his pay grade.
I'm trying to think. He might have gotten the most page time perspective wise in the series.
He has to.
I can't think of another character that was as sort of omnipresent as Fiddler is.
Unless you're counting like that the 160 pages of like just Karsa from House of Chains, unless that adds up. But it has to be Fiddler. He's in every book except Midnight Tides. Or maybe Toll the Hounds, but he's certainly in every book.
I guess in Gardens of the Moon, I don't think we actually get a perspective shot of him, but he's there. Mm-hmm. I'd imagine that's the case, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I love Fiddler. Also, the ending, I really like the Apsalar and Crocus ending. Like I think it's very subtle, very understated, but I think that's good. And it's kind of just like this. Yeah, they just left and lived on the sea, and sort of like they're broken, but like they do help each other. Like I thought that was beautiful as well. Yeah,
I did too. We followed them for a long time. That was good. Quickman and Callum, I like that they're back and working together. So that was fun.
That I did want to touch on. That reminded me of what I loved about Crippled God is Perrin finally being like badass master of the deck, because like he's struck for the first 4 books. Obviously, he's not Midnight Tides. Like he's just struggling. He's got stomach aches. He's got emotional breakdowns. He's angry. He's angsty. And then in the 6th one with the whole Poliel thing, we finally see him like step up a little bit. And then just when that happens, he's absent, right? They pull back from him. Erickson doesn't go back to him until this book. And then in this one, he's just like a badass. Like, oh yeah, let me just do this card and we'll get behind them. Or like, yeah, let's go find them and we're gonna go over here. And, oh yeah, I'm not afraid of these Forquillas Sail. Talk to the card, like literally. Like I loved that.
The card magic is incredible. Like that's so cool. It's so freaking cool. Yeah. And one of the reasons Bone Hunters is my favorite of the books is just because of the nonstop action, like summoning, like creating a portal for the hounds to chase you through into like where Poliel is, like, and then being like, oh crap, that was a mistake. But like, that's just so cool. And him using the cards in this one, like riding out of the card to save the day, like that was, and just like disappearing, going through their fortifications. Those Forquillas Sail had no idea what hit them. Like they were so outclassed. I love that we got to see how every pureblood Forquillas Sail got beat in some different way. Those poor guys.
Yeah, and like you said, like Erickson does this really well too, and then being like you don't really know what to expect because he'll always like introduce people in the best possible light. My favorite actual example of this is in the beginning of Dust of Dreams, like the first 120 pages when the parish first land and the Volcandu Empire, like they have this whole scheme that you learn of like how they're going to take advantage of these people. And then like immediately you find out that the parish like just destroy them and easily overcome them. And like they weren't shit compared to the Malazans. And the Formula still not quite to the same level because they obviously were powerful, but in the same way they had these big grand plans and they were like, we're unstoppable. And then like it was hard, but like every single one of them, as you said, like got their comeuppance, got like overcome and died.
Yeah, and speaking of that, a couple more plot threads. I really liked the resolution of the Kundral burn tears with leader Gaul like just being so distraught because he failed them, with the battle with the Naruk, and his wife and lover being like, y'all need to get up, and lead them. Like, I failed Coltane. It's like, you're about to fail Coltane if you don't get up. Like that was, and he died, didn't he? Didn't Gaul die in the Battle of the Barrow?
Yes.
Which is what he wanted. Like joining the Crow clan. I love that it keeps coming back to Coltane's sacrifice because the Chain of Dogs is. I read the Chain of Dogs first in 2008, and I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten the Chain of Dogs. It may be one of the most memorable scenes in any book I've ever read. The conclusion of the Chain of Dogs. I don't think anything's ever made me angrier. That's why I freaking hate Malak Rel. So that was just amazing. And then Mappo. We go through all of this for Mappo to get just like 1-2 wrecked by sister done. What?
Yep.
Like what? I've watched Mappo for 9 books, and that like, and then freaking who's the Ubala Pung?
Yeah,
Ubala's the one that gets him.
Yep.
So I mean, I like that. I like that Calm got her comeuppance, and then we have Ikariam, who yet again, it's like, what are you doing, Ikariam? Yeah. And I guess Ubala's his friend now. That's just like, let's go look at old stuff. What is Icarius? Erickson, why did you not tell me what Icarius is? That I thought that was going to be a reveal because we definitely need to talk about the desert. I thought they were going to summon a Warren and ports to Icarius because I knew they were going to get out of the desert.
Yeah,
I just didn't know how. And then we never hear about Icarius. It's a city of crystal. Like, what is it? What? Tell me what Icarius is.
The weird, mysterious fruit, and like,
tell me what it is.
Something about shadows. Yeah, very, very weird. No idea. Like, Ikariam as a whole, I think, is so like this great mystery that is just like never really full. Because he even had all the weird timepieces and Letheri, like set up the new Warrens or like whatever it was, like the tiles turned into the Warrens or whatever happened there. It's just like so unsure, but I kind of love it. It's kind of like just like mysterious force. I don't really know. And also who are the ones behind that I always watch, the Nameless Ones or something like that?
Nameless ones.
We don't really know about them either. Like, they were a huge deal at one point and they had some kind of plan, but and I'm sure, again, people might be typing and saying, how they're connected, but like, I didn't really catch that. I just love that there's these huge elements that are like, I don't know.
One death I did not like Gruntle's end, because Gruntle has been one of my favorites since the Child Standard in Memories of Ice.
Yeah.
Like, I love Gruntle, and I didn't really understand Gruntle's storyline in Toll the Hounds, jumping around with the Trade Guild, and then here, I don't know why he chased down Kilava. I talked with people in Discord, and they answered it, and I've forgotten what they said. Something about Trake taking over and his wild nature, and like not like he wanted the Elliant to come through, because someone posited that he wants the Elliant to come through so that they can kill Korabal, so that Trake doesn't lose access to. Trake wanted access to the Crippled God, is essentially what someone said, which I'm fine with, but I also didn't like Gruntle dying like that. I'm like, man, come on, it's Gruntle. Like, Gruntle in the final battle. Trake's mortal sword. Come on. So I was sad about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I kind of read it as, and this might be too poetic, but like, because both he and what's her name, the girl who, no, the woman that he loved, who was also in the care of
Stani Manakis.
Stani Manakis, yeah. Like both of them, I think, like deal with like the trauma and aftermath of Kapustan, like in horrible ways, understandably. And my viewpoint was that he was just like doing what she was, sort of like a self-destructive, like, because she obviously like loses herself, not obviously in a terrible situation of becoming pregnant from rape, but also, you know, like trying to have this regular life. And then eventually like she couldn't handle it for understandable reason. Again, all of that is like tragic, but understandable. And I feel like the same thing's with him, because he kind of like wanders for forever, as you said. And then like eventually he just kind of gives in to like his like violent nature. Yeah. And then like he sort of, you know, goes a little crazy and wanting to release the Eliant just for like some reason. So that was kind of my understanding. It's just like this sort of not even self-destructive, but like destroyed by the forces of war, and like how that destroys a person. That was poetically sort of how I thought that was going to go. But I also thought it was tragic.
Yeah.
Purposefully, if that makes sense.
But the desert, crossing the glass desert was, yes. I mean, that was like when they found, it was absolutely brutal. And did Blistig live? I think, did Blistig die? Like, they should have executed Blistig in the desert.
Well, because they eventually like exile him, right? Don't they like punch him and that other thing, and then they just leave him there? Is that what happens? It's been a while since.
They leave him behind, but he's still there because he's given command of the I don't think he goes. Yeah, no. He's given command of the main force, not the Barrow. He's at the main force with the Forquer Lasalle of the Bone Hunters, from what I understand.
Does he die? He must die then, right? I'm checking the wiki. That's what I'm doing right now.
It'll tell us. It says it's left open. I
just saw that too. Yeah.
I am so glad that Banisher finally did something. I was getting irritated at how pointless Banisher was.
So you messaged me like, so what's the point of this like priest of Durek? And I was like, I agree, it was annoying, but it's definitely going to pay off at the altar. I didn't say the altar, but I said, it's going to pay off.
Bottle didn't do very much in this book either. Like, we didn't see Bottle really use any magic in this one, like at all. There was almost, other than Paran, there was almost no magic being used, because was Quickben even there at the Barrow?
It's just at the end when Perrin actually like shows up.
Gotcha. But
no. Perrin doesn't show up. He and Kalam are sent to like interfere. Yeah.
But the desert was, I mean, it was so brutal, and the anger that I felt at Blistig, and I think Blistig has a really good arc, because I really like Blistig in book 2, because he's the only reason that Aaron didn't fall is because he refused to obey, Pormqual's order. And I liked Blistig, but you can see Blistig goes the way of who's the other Red Blade? The first Tenor Baralt? The one who gets badly burned at Yigatan.
You are so much better at remembering
Tenor Baralta, yeah. So he goes the way of Baralta, where like, and I really like that, even looking back at how you see how little faith people have in Tavor, like they just don't believe, they don't have faith that she's gonna lead them. And I do like a lot what Erickson says about, faith in the gods and faith in stuff. Especially that's one of the parts I like the most about Toll the Hounds. There's a lot about Toll the Hounds I don't like, but I do like that. And Blistig just doesn't have faith. He doesn't. And he, like, the fact that he shanks frickin' Lieutenant Pores, Master Sergeant Pores, Quartermaster Pores.
Whatever he ends up being, yeah.
And he, as I said before, he reminds me a lot of Milo Minderbender from Catch-22, who is like this kind of like crooked guy that runs the parachutes. Like, he sells parachutes as opposed to like gives it to them. And he runs the mess hall. He's just like a crooked quartermaster. But I wanted her to execute Blistig. I couldn't believe. I'm like, Tavor, what are you? Kill Blistig. He is going to be the death of everyone there.
Yeah.
And then they run into the snake, which.
Yeah. Well, real quick. I want to say the Blistig thing. I think it's interesting that like in Deadhouse Gates, he's amazing because he discerns and disobeys his superior. Crippled God, he is annoying and frustrating because he thinks he discerns and he disobeys his superior. So it's interesting. It's the same thing, but like he puts the faith in the wrong person. You know, it's a fascinating two sides of the coin. Because so often in fantasy, you have like the dumb commander and then like the captain or someone underneath them has to like, you know, make the choice. And it's interesting in this one, it's the opposite. Like it's like Last Jedi had this where like, you know, the person thinks they're making the right choice because the high commander has a bad idea, but actually the high commander is right in the instance, and they need to have, as you said, faith in their commanders.
One of my least favorite tropes is the really arrogant commander that won't listen to any of his underlings. Yep. That is clearly leading everybody to their death. And I'm like when I see it, I'm like, man, like why? I mean, I'm certain that those people have existed in history. I know they existed at Cannae. That's why the Romans lost at Cannae. But then they meet the snake, and for 2 books I have followed these children, and I'm like, what on earth is going on with these children? Like are they real? Like the things.
Oh, especially at the beginning of Dust of Dreams, it's like, what the hell is happening?
Like I don't know how they survived. Like I don't, but. Yeah. And Held, like we find out in Dust of Dreams that Held is dead, right? Like I had seen it in the wiki, but I couldn't remember if I had spoiled it for myself or if it happened in Dust of Dreams. But
it tells you pretty early on, I think. Okay. Like midway through Dust of Dreams.
And so, oh man, I don't know what that kid's name is because all of their names kind of blend together. But when he takes, like, he can't get his arms undone.
His arm, yeah.
And he takes the burn tear, the Gaul's child, like. That was so good. And then realizing, and I can't believe I didn't see it. Well, I actually can. I never figure anything out in books. I'm always surprised, and it makes me really happy because I never see twists coming. The fact that the snake is the embodiment of Drek. It's the freaking embodiment of Drek, like they say. The snake, they say it at the end. The snake was the embodiment of the worm of autumn. And I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. Like, that was so cool. When they run.
Total sense.
And then the fact that they share their water, like the fact that they share their water with those
especially
kids.
After the chapter that you mentioned early on, where you go through every perspective, like through the bone hunters as they're dying of thirst, and like how they're like drinking their piss and like all of this like awful stuff. So like you know the sacrifice of giving them the water that the scouts do right away, and it's like going back again to Deadhouse Gates, like, you know, history can be summed up and children are dying. And then the Bone Hunters is like the ultimate good and compassionate people, like doing what they can to stop that. Like, oh man, that to me was like the heaviest moment, I think.
That was so like, that was good. There were three big emotional moments for me. It was Ganos, I lost her. Them giving the snake the water, the kids their water, and then Stormy and Gessler. Like I was just so heartbroken when Stormy and Gessler bit it. But yeah, it was that was so well done. And them saying to Fiddler like you make a good dad or whatever. That's and calling Tavor mother and all that stuff. That was good.
And after the whole conversation of like mothers and fathers were bad things for them because of where they came from and what happened. It adds that much more weight. Yeah, the snake, like I've talked to multiple people who, as they're reading Dust Streets, being like, what the hell? Like, and I'm like, it pays off. I totally understand. It's frustrating, but it is worth it.
I hate it every time I saw one of those Badal, like the names. And does Badal, does she have access to the Forquil Assail Warren?
Like something about her magic. I don't know if that's the direct stuff or because her speech is where her power comes from, or her voice, just like them. Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, and she ported them, like she traveled them through Warren from Icaria to whatever. And that's when they're like, oh crap, that's 12 days away. Like when they realized how far they were away from water, and they're like, we have enough water for like 4.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how are they going to survive? How are they going to survive? When everyone's doubting her and she just shanks the ground and it becomes the sea. I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And now the great thing about that is a twist, but Erikson did not hide that from us. Like Mael or Bug like gives the knife and says, the moment of greatest need, whatever. It's like, we should have known. I did not know. I didn't see it coming. I was like, that is beautiful. Like that was literally like 1,500 pages ago, and then like comes out.
I would like to know if Erikson like is a Pratchett fan, because T-Hole and Bug, their interaction is like straight out of Discworld. The way like it's so tonally dissonant to the rest of the books.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this just sounds like a Pratchett novel. Just like T-Hole's freaking his letter to Briss, where it's just like, it's just talking about like, Briss, do you want to like sleep with this woman or whatever it was about, like about Briss's love life, that because he knew he was going to make him read it out loud. So he's embarrassing him for no reason. That's like, I was laughing very, very hard. I love that T-Hole at least got that little section in this book. And I love Bug. Bug is definitely in my top characters. Like just an elder god that is chosen to serve this family. Like that's just really, really cool. I'm not certain I understand everything that went on with Briss and being imprisoned and then being back to life. There's a lot of resurrection in these books.
There is, yeah.
Like assaulting them with all the names of the forgotten people. Like that's how one of the Forker Lasalle die. They all get their own death, and that one just gets like bleh, named, like just names dropped on them.
Yeah,
that was cool stuff. It was good. It was good. It was an excellent book. I liked Crippled God a lot. I enjoyed it.
Well, and it's my favorite of the series. And going back to the stuff about the Glass Desert, I love that what like created it was the Assail destroying their own god, and that god is now a Divers of the butterfly, moth, and
shards.
The flesh eating, whatever. Yeah. Like I thought that was so cool, like an actual combination of why this is such a mystically horrible place. Like,
yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah, I really enjoyed this last book for real. Now, I don't like Olar. What the freaking? I'm so glad she got hers. Who kills her at the end? Oh, dying. The last of the all.
Yes.
What is his name?
Protecting the children of Tool. Let's look at our dramatis personae.
I think it's in the back because it's he was in both books. Olar Ethel. Olar Ethel or whatever. I hate her.
The embodiment of Burn, right?
Is that what she is?
That was my understanding, is that she is Burn.
Is she's the undead dragon we've seen throughout the books, right? Isn't she the one that sets the Stormy and Gessler's boat on fire in the Warren in book 2? Like, is that her, that undead dragon?
Ooh, I didn't put that together, but that's possible. Now that I can, I'm also looking on the wiki. How do you spell her name?
Olar. Olar. Also, while we're looking this up, 1, who is Ruthen Good? 2, what about young Fellison and the Crippled God cult from the house of from Bone Hunters? Like, they made her the head of that cult. Where is that?
Yep.
Like, I obviously didn't expect everything to be answered, but I'm just like, I'm always like, is it answered in a different book? Like, I know that freaking Leomon of the Flails is, because I'm like, what? Like, that was the most jarring thing in Bone Hunters. Just like, oh yeah, Leomon, he's not part of it anymore. Like, what?
Okay, so she's known as the first Soul Taken. This is Olar. She's an Eliant, an undead twin to Tiaman, who spawned off dragons.
Look at In Dead House Gates. As the crew of the Solanda traveled through the flooded Elder Warren, they were overtaken by a colossal, undead, soul-taken dragon. Cult called it the unwelcome. That's Olar.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Nice. I didn't like her, and I'm so glad that I still don't know that guy's name. It begins with a T, but he like shot her in the eye. I loved that Todd gave him the bow to protect to protect Tool's kids. Yes, yep. I love that.
Oh, and we should say Talk's ending finally being with the bridge burners. That's solid.
Yes, doesn't Whiskey Jack say like?
Yeah, like come on, soldier, we got to go, or something like that.
He's like, I'm not one of you. And he's like, yeah, you are. Come on. Like that one. I don't know what this freaking all guy's name is. It doesn't matter. It begins with
I know who you're talking about, though. I think
he dies protecting the kids. And I love that because I hated Olar. I hated her. I hated her good. Anyway, it was just a really good conclusion. Like, the series is really good. Do I have criticisms of the series as a whole? Yeah, I think sometimes, like, I don't need – there's a lot of Talana Moss POVs that I don't really think I need. They're all very similar. I don't understand I don't understand any of the refugium stuff. Let's just go ahead and say that. Kalik and the Tisti Andy and Nimander and then Clip. You can go ahead and
mostly Toll the Hounds. Not a fan. We know.
And that really is it. It's Toll the Hounds, and Reaper's Guild didn't end the way I wanted it to. But I mean, that's my problem. It's not his problem.
We should say on your recent top 5 books, I think was Malazan is 4. Is that right?
Yeah, a top 5 series. Yeah, this is like Malazan is on my top series. Like absolutely, it's on my top series because it has some of the this is some of the best military fiction I've read. That is why I read it. And the thing is, there's a lot. Like, I don't have to like everything in these books. Like, I don't have to love everything in the books to love the series. The philosophy and all of that extra grad school level course stuff, that doesn't have to be for me. Like, you love that stuff. Philip loves that stuff. That's fine. I love the military, like the human element and just their interaction, like boots on the ground and the military action, like army fighting army, these huge, epic, ridiculous D&D over the top set piece moments. That is why I read these books. They're so freaking good. Chain of Dogs, Yucatan, The Battle of the Barrow, all of those things are why I read this. I would probably put this book, I'd probably put this book third because I love Bone Hunters. Bone Hunters is my favorite just because
great book.
Like Yucatan, the pole ale stuff, and then that ridiculous conclusion at Malaz City. Like, what?
Crazy.
So good. And then Midnight Tides, because I think Midnight Tides is just so well paced. I love Midnight Tides. And
you get so much bug in T-hole, which is so fun.
Oh, yeah. And so I think this is right after that. Now, Deadhouse Gates is 4 because of the Chain of Dogs, but I think I like this book as a whole better than I like the whole of Deadhouse Gates, even though I like the Chain of Dogs better than anything. But this is excellent conclusion. So good. I was not bored at any point, like in this 1,200 pages.
Yeah. And I want to get back to something you said there, because I think I'm sad that I feel like the community so far has been made up so much of me and Phillips, because I think, not that I don't like us, obviously I think we're good people, but like, I think that has been what scared people away from it. But I do think that, like, because of that, like, the inaccessibility of the series has been way too overhyped. Like, I think people who've read Wheel of Time can read this and understand it. You just got to go in knowing, like, that, you know, not everything's going to be wrapped up. It's not kind of a singular story. And, like, if you can kind of be like, all right, whatever for that, and I like this, like, it's a great series. Like, I think it's much more accessible now than people have, like, hyped it up to be.
Well, I think a lot of that is falling away as there's a lot of people jumping into Gardens of the Moon right now. And so a lot of people have been like, no, this wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was. I mean, there's some confusing stuff, but you know, it doesn't really stop me. In the later half of the books get really long, so they can sometimes feel like it's just a slog sometimes in like 7 through 10 because they're so freaking long. But before that, Bone Hunters is the first, I think, one that caps 1,000 pages. But Bone Hunters is so action packed. I don't know how you get bored of Bone Hunters.
Yeah. Well, and by that point, I feel like you're sold. If you're still reading Bone Hunters, you're there to the end. Like, there's no way you're going to read those first 5 and find some. They're longer, but like, it's the same great shit, and in my opinion, better shit. Like I know Toll the Hounds, I think you might disagree with me there, but all the other ones like are great. Dust of Dreams is tough because it's sort of all set up and there's only like a little payoff with that cool fight at the end. But like you're sold by Bone Hunters, and I agree with you. Like Bone Hunters, I think is probably my second favorite. Crippled God's probably my favorite, and then Bone Hunters and Memories of Ice.
I think Toll the Hounds is just a really different book than like the ones that come before it. Like just structurally, like in the stuff that happens. It's just really, really different. And like, there isn't a bunch of the military conflict like there is in every other book. And I mean, and that's probably why it just doesn't have the stuff that I really like. And in Toll the Hounds, the stuff that I like the most is the Darujistan crowd, like the Malazans at the bar and Murillo. Murillo's storyline in Toll the Hounds I was destroyed when Murillo bites it in Toll the Hounds. I was like, no, this is unacceptable. I was so mad. But yeah, so it just didn't. The conclusion is awesome. Like I'll give it that. Like Karsa and Traveler and Rake and Hood and the Hounds, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, it just didn't have the stuff that I like the most in it. It just felt structurally kind of a different book. But I get why other people like it.
Yeah, I mean, I should say I'm trying to think back on my tier ranking. Toll the Hounds, I think, is up there as well. In my I have this is my S tier book because I was only allowing myself to pick one, and then I think I have
an A tier on yours. It's an A tier.
Yeah, I think it's A tier because I do love. I mean, and I fully admit that is because it is more cerebral, and especially the reflections on like what is redemption and like how does death affect us as mortals. I find that incredibly interesting, but I also understand, I think you've used the term navel gazing before.
A lot of navel gazing.
And so I understand that's not for everybody, but I enjoy that for sure.
But yeah, the redemption theme was cool. Like the one theme about like what kind of monsters does a god produce when it offers redemption at no cost?
Yeah.
Like when redemption costs nothing, like what kind of monsters do you produce at that point? And we saw that with what's the thing called, the Redeemer, like Ikovian, whatever he is at that point. Yeah. So I did like those parts, but it's just the freaking Kalix stuff. And again, the Andy aren't my favorites. So that's really the problem, is I don't love the Andy.
Yeah.
So, but this is a great series, and I agree with you that more people should embrace, like, if the more cerebral stuff isn't for you, cool. Push through to the military action, guys.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding?
I'm really excited that there's weirdly been a resurgence of Malazan over the quarantine period, and I hope it continues because, like, it's got a lot of stuff for a lot of different readers, and I think it needs. I'm glad that it's going to get, I think, more of a presence just in the general fantasy community. It has a big one, obviously, but like, I'm excited for people to have Malazan as like their third favorite series. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of me's out there who are fanatics. I understand that crowd. And sometimes we're kind of a prickly bunch, but I'm excited for people who like their favorite series is Wheel of Time or the Dresden Files, but they also read and liked Malazan. You know what I mean? Like,
a lot of people hear like, oh, well, like, you're going to get stuff on reread. You have to reread it 3 times to really understand it. That is what, like, no, you don't. Like, like, I think that provides a barrier that isn't there. No, you don't. Yes, you can get those stuff because, again, I've read up to book 7 twice. I've read up through the Bone Hunters 3 different times, and I get new stuff all the time. But you don't have to read it a bunch of times to get it. Like, you can get all those hidden clues. Like, if that's your thing, if you want, like, there's a guy in our Discords, Child of Honor, who has like he's rereading it. He's got pages of notes from the prologue of Gardens of the Moon. You know, that's never going to be me. I am so glad to talk to people like that because they can answer questions I have. But I'm reading it, and the story is good, and you can get the story without having to reread it 80 times. You know what I mean? There are those people who want to reread it. The people like, I'm on my 14th read. Like, good for you, but I have other stuff. I have other books I want to read also. So I don't have time. But yeah, it's a great series, and people really should, especially if you like military fiction. If you like military fantasy, there's no reason you should not be reading these books. Like, there just isn't.
Well, that's an interesting counter to like what you were saying before. Like, I know you're a huge military fantasy guy. I'm not a huge military fantasy guy.
Nice.
Like, I don't dislike it, but like oftentimes in battles, not in Malazan, but when I'm in books, I'll kind of be like, okay, yeah, I kind of know what's going on.
Oh, no, not me.
I find fantasy authors, like, it's hard to write a battle. We were talking about this earlier, and not a lot of people do it very well. But so there's another thing, like the thing that like you point to as the most, like the thing you enjoy most about Erickson, like it's something that I normally would be like, it's not really my thing, but I think it's just done so well. Like I think that's a good example again of like there's so much in these books, depending on what kind of reader you are, that you can latch onto.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we covered a lot of stuff. I don't know how long we've been here, but I'm having too much fun.
5 minutes or so.
But Crippled God, obviously, if you're watching this, people already have read it. But like, fantastic. Love the series. Love the work. And glad that you finally finished it after your 15-year journey of Malazan.
I started reading Malazan in 2008 because I remember because I had Dead House Gates with me when I went to Japan, which was in 2008. And I read it for the first time in Japan. And so it has taken me 12, 13 years to finally finish this series. So, you know, it wasn't even done when I started. Crippled God came out in 2011. So the series wasn't even finished when I began my journey. And I would read and then have like a 2-3 year break and then start again and then a year's break. And, you know, when I got back into reading, finally, my wife got me back into reading with Name of the Wind. And after that, I'm like, I'm going to finish Malazan. And I started it in summer of 19. I started it again in the summer of 19 and finally finished it in January 21.
Congratulations. You did it.
I know. Thank goodness. So now I'm going to read the other books. I'm not sure when I'm taking a break, but I'm going to read like the other books. Stonewielder's up next.
You read Return of the Crimson Guard and did not like it.
I did not like Return of the Crimson Guard at all. Like it's my least favorite Malazan book to date. Is that what you're reading now?
It's on my TBR for February. I said in my TBR will drop later this week. Obviously, it's the end of January, but I said like I've heard from so many people to not expect a lot from that. I imagine that my expectations are so low that I'll probably enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm expecting to kind of be surprised because I'm expecting so little, but I am pretty apprehensive because I read Night of Knives. You saw my review, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely not as good, but I enjoy kind of the world still. It's kind of like what I came. And so I'm expecting that here, but of course it's like 4 times as long as Night of Knives. So we'll see how it goes.
There's some good, the last 300 pages are really good. There's some really big things that happen, which is awesome. So the events are awesome, but, so the middle, like you just don't know any of the characters. I'm not attached to any of them. And the middle just felt like the middle 500 pages felt like a slog to me.
All right.
And the ending was good.
I'll steel myself for it. And like the Crimson Guard itself, when they show up in the main series in, was it a Reaper's Gale or is that Midnight Tides? I think it's Reaper's Gale, right? Where, Saren Padak is like wandering and she finds the captain and a couple people of the Crimson Guard and they like escort her to the sea.
I think that's Midnight Tides because Saren's already been assaulted by Reaper's Gale.
Okay.
So I think it's Midnight Tides.
It all blends together, but I loved that portion and wanted to know more about. And ever since then, when I've been staring at this book, I'm like, excellent. I want to hear more about these people.
You need to temper your expectation. That's what got me. Seriously, the Crimson Guard are not as cool as you want them to be in this book. And that is what I think I was expecting exactly what you think you're expecting.
Well, and they also had that cool part at the end of Guardians of the Moon where like they're all of a sudden there in the shit.
Yeah. I was disappointed by the Crimson Guard themselves in that book. And so I think if you're just not like expecting it to be awesome, you might think they're awesome, but I think I expected way too much.
Okay, no, this is good. I temper my expectations because
I'm excited.
I've also heard.
I hear that he gets better with every book.
Yeah,
so.
Pretty much everyone, and like obviously, I almost said his real name. Iskar Jirak has said like, especially after you get through Return of the Crimson Guard, like Eslamat really hits his stride. So I'm excited.
I really want to read Path of Ascendancy because Kellenbed and Dancer are I love Emperor Kellenbed. Yes,
and I'm hopeful that someone will write something about him actually empire building. I think that'd be really cool.
Thank you, Andy. The entire since 2008, and I read these books since I started. All I have wanted was, can I please see? I just want to see Kellenved ruling. I just want to see Kellenved building the empire. That kind of political intrigue and stuff. I would eat that up.
Well, and all the little crumbs they tell us about, like how he went from Malaz to Unta, and like how they have to go through each of the 7, holy cities, and they each have champions, and Dasamulter and Dancer, like, and where Surly comes in. Anyway, there's so many good stories. We're getting off topic, but I want to close with sort of this odd closing comment. And this is a tough thing to answer. We're now talking with people who probably just finished Crippled God, are going to watch this video. So what would you recommend to people? Just went through the entire Malazan Book of the Fallen. What should they read now? This is an interesting question.
Something lighthearted is what they should read now.
So what would you recommend?
Discworld.
So go for it. Why?
Go read Guards, and the banter will remind you. It will be reminiscent of T-Hole and Bug. I promise you. The banter back and forth, or one of the Death books. The banter between Death and his manservant. Yes, the banter between Death and his manservant is very similar to the banter between T-Hole and his manservant, and it's lighthearted, and it's still clever. It's a smart read, but it's lighthearted, and you're not going to be stressed out. I would not dive into something heavy after finishing Malazan. I would, if you have not, I would read the Black Company books so that you can see a lot of the similarities with that boots on the ground stuff, especially as the series progresses. Black Company, it gets weirder and weirder, like more kind of like mythic and epic the way that Malazan is, and especially the last 4 books of Black Company. But I would read them. I wouldn't read them right after, but I would read them eventually. But I would tell you something lighthearted. Go read if you like romance, go read yourself a romance. Read Guards if you want my recommendation. But certainly I would not pick up anything. I would not pick up anything that is over like 600 pages. Read something easy that isn't a 10-book series. That's what I'm doing. Like I refuse to start any long series while I was reading Malazan. And so now that I'm done, I have I've got a moratorium on series that are longer than like I'm not going to read anything longer than like 3 or 4 books right now. I'm taking a break before I start my next whatever long series it is. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Alan from Library of Allenxandria, go follow him. I assume everyone who's watching this already has, but if you haven't, go watch him and subscribe to his channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for reading Malazan. We love this series. And we'll end with the bridge burner salute. First in, last out.
Excellent.